It's Tuesday, August 7th, 2012. I'm Alex Jones. Strap yourselves in for an extremely important edition of INFOWARS Nightly News. Straight ahead.
Tonight,
Marvel comic books could not have come up with a better creature than Dick Cheney. And people believe them? How could any self-respecting person follow these people? They're destroying us. They're destroying our nation. And no one seems to care.
Trends Research Institute's Gerald Celente discusses the rot at the top of the pyramid as his predictions come into view. Then, the Sikh shooter's links to the FBI's National Alliance uncovered. Plus, full spectrum dominance. All that and more on the INFOWARS Nightly News.
First story tonight is the aftermath of the tragic shooting that killed seven, including the gunman, in Wisconsin. This is right out of central casting via the FBI and the globalists who've been caught provocateur events before. We know this guy was Army psychological warfare. Of course, with the Batman shooting, under government control, government psychiatrist, it's always the same MO over and over again. You have multiple witnesses on the news saying 4 shooters. You have the president of the Sikh temple coming out and saying that they were being cased in the days before. It's all there. And he's now been connected to the National Alliance that basically is FBI run. Just like we told you, Hal Turner was an FBI asset, and that later came out in court. This is exactly how they operate. Now, what they'll do is they'll have one of their informants, like this guy, who's infiltrated the white supremacist group. They'll have him there at the event, not knowing the other 3 shooters are all special forces FBI types. They'll just kill the patsy there on the site. Or one of the operatives may have been killed before they set up the patsy by the police officer. We're not sure, but it fits the classic MO. Remember, they'd stage Fast and Furious to blame the Second Amendment. Operation Northwoods describes how to have mass shootings and blame patsies. They would do it here. So very, very suspicious. Why are all these people on government payroll or former, PSYOP type people? Continuing, U.S. Army to be used against insurrectionist Tea Party, and a Army finance and Army college program is breaking down that they believe that the Tea Party are going to work with al-Qaeda. It actually says we'll link up with al-Qaeda to wage war against the loving federal government that used al-Qaeda to take over Syria and, of course, before that, Libya. And believe it or not, I told you they're going to try to say that people that love liberty are al-Qaeda. Doesn't matter if the global bankers actually run al-Qaeda. This is the narrative that they are putting out. It's full spectrum operations in the homeland, a vision of the future. And the Army colonel has ignited a firestorm with the article on crushing a Tea Party insurgency. That is from theexaminer.com. Now, expanding on all of this, this is exactly what we see mirrored in the actual Army training manuals and in the Homeland Security MIAC and other Homeland Security reports, returning veterans, gun owners, libertarians, farmers, ranchers. I've been to the urban drills. They practice killing farmers wearing overalls and John Deere hats. And they're now saying the threat isn't al-Qaeda. The threat is the American people, people that don't want foreign banks taking over our country as they have been bragging. Now, it won't matter soon because none of us will be able to have children. Humans roughly every 20 years or so have children. So roughly a generation is 20 years. On average, you live about 75 years, but a generation's about 20 because you have children every 20 or so. And in literally dozens of studies with hamsters over the years that we've covered, the GMO crops put out by a whole host of companies like Monsanto have been linked to infertility. They've been linked to organ failure. But a new Russian study that Lisa Gaber has written about at PRISONPLANET.com, GMO-fed hamsters become infertile, have stunted growth. and they go over all the different problems that the hamsters have, but that's standard. You wonder why the public, autism's off the charts, disorders of the gut are off the charts, all these problems. That is a little gift via the New World Order, who promised they would engineer food 50 years ago to sterilize us and make us addled. You see, the global psychopaths have to be the elite, so they have to brain damage us and hurt us so they can be better than us. That's all part of their sick program, all part of their sick joke. They get to feel superior whenever they see the public that they're killing. That's why Monsanto scientists, for more than 10 years, refused to eat GMO crops in their own cafeterias. Look it up. Speaking of frankenfood and frankenscience, yummy digestible microchips embedded in drugs. And they've got a whole bunch of companies that have gotten FDA approval to have sensors in the pills. And they say they have to do this to make sure you're not taking too many of them. This will track everything you're doing and control you. After all, it's a control freak's world. Continuing right along, I remember more than 6-7 years ago, I saw Robo-Rat in the news, where they have microchips in rats' brains that are remote controlled to go in and find people that have been trapped in buildings or whatever. It's always for the greater good. Well, RT reports Pentagon to recruit bomb-sniffing rats to go out and find the IEDs they claim are going to be on all our highways as the veterans, the main enemy, not al-Qaeda, attack the loving banker government and the collaborators that work with them. Continuing here, the Daily Mail reports, is not joining Facebook a sign you're a psychopath? Some employers and psychologists say staying away from social media is suspicious. Yeah, this is out of England, but it's also happening in the U.S. And I remember reports by Homeland Security a few years ago saying if somebody keeps their desk locked or isn't in social media, they might be a terrorist. I mean, you know, the fact that you don't want to be on there talking to people all day and sharing your personal information online so someone can rob your house is a sign you're not a good little globalist. Continuing, Council on Foreign Relations strategist praises al-Qaeda bombings in Syria. Winston, we were never at war with Eurasia. That, of course, is an allusion to 1984, where you're never at war with Eurasia, never at war with East Asia, but the next day you've always been at war with them. The Syria rebels would be immeasurably weaker today without al-Qaeda in their ranks. By and large, Free Syrian Army, or FSA, battalions are tired, divided, chaotic, and ineffective. Feeling abandoned by the West, rebel forces are increasingly demoralized as they square off with the Assad regime's superior weaponry and professional army, writes the senior fellow at the Middle Eastern Studies with the CFR. Al-Qaeda fighters, however, may help improve morale. The influx of jihadis brings discipline, religious fervor, battle experience from Iraq, funding from Sunni sympathizers in the Gulf, and most importantly, deadly results. In short, the FSA needs al-Qaeda, he adds. Now, remember, we told you a year and a half ago they were landing al-Qaeda and also bringing them in out of Egypt there to the east into Libya. Later, that was admitted under the love bomb Peace Prize president's attacks there. Now al-Qaeda's in charge. Al-Qaeda flags, al-Qaeda courts, al-Qaeda government. Now the 20,000 missiles and the rest of it are being shipped out of Libya. This is in the news. Into Syria, blowing up police stations, blowing up malls, killing everybody. And the media's like they're peaceful, loving demonstrators. Yeah, even The Guardian admits al-Qaeda is the main force. But then our media, kind of for the general public's like, it's not true. We have to invade Syria because al-Qaeda is there. And the public's like, listen, traitor, we got to invade right now. Al-Qaeda's there. But in the scholarly reports, where the little globalist operatives like to read what's really going on, it's like, of course al-Qaeda's there. They're very helpful. In fact, The Guardian last week was like, they bring good morale. They're doing a damn good job. This is the real al-Qaeda the globalists created and trained at U.S. bases and others against the Russians in the mid-90s, against the Serbs. They took the boogeyman role against us, and now they're helping take down these countries and murder all the Christians. And Hillary Clinton is pleased as a fly on you-know-what. So they are very pleased right now. And I'm unpatriotic because I say go to hell, al-Qaeda. Ooh, just got on an FBI list right there. I gotta have, but I gotta have the TSA hands down the pants because al-Qaeda might be hiding in my underwear. I thought they were hiding when they got flown out in 2001 after playing the decoy as enemies so the globals could take over the opium in Afghanistan. When they got flown into Pakistan to start destabilizing them. But I'm sorry, they're not hiding at CIA bases. They're hiding in my pants. And they're hiding in your pants. And don't worry, they got convicted pedophiles that are going to abuse your family at the airport to make sure they're not in there. Now they take your kids behind closed doors at the airport. And they're setting up highway checkpoints because we all know your wife's got Al-Qaeda right in the shirt, right in the cleavage. Al-Qaeda hides right there. And there's a big old fat pedo, big old pervo going to have their way with her. Don't you worry, slaves. By the way, Gerald Salente's coming up, as I mentioned earlier. Oh, speaking of the TSA, doctors advising pregnant women to avoid TSA body scanners. Really, all these top scientists have come out, and I mean, they're all admitting it's causing cancer. I mean, it shoots through your body. Yeah, but cell phones are good for you, even though brain tumors are exploding. Everything's fine. Now, this is much stronger than that. An article in the New York Times, Health and Science section today, carries several revealing details, including indicating that doctors and scientists are extremely aware of TSA full-body backscatter X-ray scanners. The article details an account of a pregnant Yolanda Martin, a 34-year-old mother and teacher from Green Bay. He goes, one of the first things my doctor says is don't go through one of those machines. They have not been any long-term studies. I would prefer you stay away from it. Well, doctors used to say pregnant women shouldn't take vaccines because it was known to cause miscarriages. But Gloria Steinem says she had an abortion and it's cool. There ain't nothing cooler than going to a doctor's office and throwing your baby in a blender. So get with the program, mothers, and get in there. All the big liberals that are anti-human, like George Monbiot, have come out and said radiation's good for your body. So is Ann Coulter. So get with the program. John Seedit, an emeritus professor of biochemistry and biophysics at University of California, San Francisco, believes that the effective dose could be 45 times as high as the TSA has estimated, equivalent to about 10% of a chest X-ray. Well, so what? I mean, they tell the little TSA folks it isn't bad for them. It must be true. I mean, a government that secretly killed thousands of U.S. troops in chemical, biological, and radiological tests that's been declassified and killed lots of foster kids and shot people up with live polio vaccine and shot people up with live syphilis. I mean, they wouldn't fund Al-Qaeda, I mean, even though they are. I mean, they wouldn't stage terror, even though they admit they have. I mean, they wouldn't hurt you. These are good people. Man, I tell you what. There ain't nothing better than a good old-fashioned radiation for a baby, all right? Even though fast-growing cells can be up to 100 times more susceptible to mutations while being hit by these different rays. I mean, look what it did for the Fantastic Four. Maybe they'll get some... My buddy was telling me about some movie, I forget the name, where a guy goes and wallows in all this toxic waste thinking he's going to get all these superpowers. And about a month later, his hair's falling out. And they go, you got leukemia, you're going to die. But hey, not that baby, though. It's going to be Ben Grimm. It's clobbering time. Maybe Ben Grimm can, like, you know, say, get back here in the secret rape room. I'm going to crush your testicles with my power. Yes, I'm Ben Grimm. All right, let's continue here in the fantasy land. Quote of the day. This is by the Miami-Dade Clerk of Courts, Harvey Reuven of UNICED, part of the UN, Rio, plus 10 Summit, Johannesburg. The American system of justice must be changed to conform to that of the rest of the world. And there must be a shift in attitudes, individual wants, needs, and desires are to be conformed to the views and dictates of government planners. In the process of implementing sustainable development, that means serfdom, individual... It's Tuesday, August 7th, 2012. I'm Alex Jones. Strap yourselves in for an extremely important edition of
Institute's Gerald Salente discusses the rot at the top of the pyramid as his predictions come into view. Then, the Sikh shooter's links to the FBI's National Alliance uncovered. Plus, full spectrum dominance. All that and more on the INFOWARS Nightly News.
first story tonight is the aftermath of the tragic shooting that killed 7, including the gunman, in Wisconsin. This is right out of central casting via the FBI and the globalists who've been caught provocateuring events before. We know this guy was INFOWARS nightly news. Straight ahead.
Tonight.
Marvel comic books could not have come up with a better creature than Dick Cheney. And people believe them? How could any self-respecting person follow these people? They're destroying us. They're destroying our nation. And no one seems to care.
Trends Research Institute